What's happening in the canine industry? For all the latest news, views, and expert opinions, stay right here for the Canine Paradigm. You'll hear from industry leaders, experts, doyens of the industry, learned colleagues, movers and shakers, and the odd randy guest. Get the latest insights and expert advice from both here and abroad from the people in the know. Now, here are your hosts, Glenn Cook and Pat Stewart. And I'm Lofty Fulton, and I'm out of here.
Glenda?
Yes.
We have to do a new ad.
We do.
It's a solemn time. Our long-time sponsor of the show, George Kittredge,
Yes.
very, very sadly passed away. And we formerly used to advertise for him his Rowdy Hound boxes.
We did.
So we don't actually know what's happened with Rowdy Hound boxes. You know anything about that?
I looked at the website. It said that they're recalibrating since their founder and boss has passed. But nonetheless, I think that you and I want to honour the memory of George Kittredge anyway. He was a friend to both of us, a hell of a good guy, and he supported us almost immediately. He was on board through and through, and I just don't want any of us to forget George. He was a terrific human being.
So we intend to continue to advertise Rowdy Hound, even though we don't know what's going on with them.
Yep.
In the hopes that they keep going, and that can be a bit of George's legacy that we're able to continue to promote.
I hope so.
In checking it out, we had a look to see, because we're not real good with the sponsorship. So we had a look to see who's actually paying for sponsorship. And we have a list of people to tell you that we support. And the first is our sugar mama, Barbara de Groot.
She's been with us from the start as well. Barbara's been an absolute staple in our...
She's a gem.
She is a gem.
She has a business.
She does. From the Heart Dog Training.
From the Heart Dog Training.
Yep.
You can check it out. But she supports us as much and more than anybody ever has. So we appreciate you very much, Barbara. Another person who's supported us from the start.
The Einzelwiener.
Einzelwiener.
The Bullfed.
The Bullfed.
Yep.
It's where I get all my stuff.
Yeah.
It is, truly. It's where I get all my dog gear. If I need something, Jason's my first point of call. I don't use his shit website. He has a website. It's dog shit. I just message him directly. You guys probably should use his shit website, but I don't.
Yeah, because you don't want to message him directly and get his grumpy ire of the day.
Yeah, but do it. Get all your dog stuff from Jason. He's got everything you need. He's got all the shit that you need to train a dog for realty.
Everybody who comes to seminars and looks at meals and asks me meals questions, ask Jason.
Yeah.
Jason can point you in the right direction for getting the meal that's best suited for you.
I really like his leashes. I'm a big fan of his leash pack. That's why I sort of convinced him to do it. But anyway, get your stuff from Einzelwiener.
Yep.
Do you know who has a fantastic website and ships internationally?
My wife?
Your wife,
Yeah.
Canine Pharmaceuticals.
I couldn't imagine her not having a good website, how much of a perfectionist she is.
Well, the products are amazing. My dog merely being alive is a walking testimonial to that. My dog, who I've retired numerous times and has come out of retirement when I've managed to get his body back to healthy. And a big part of that is related to Canine Pharmaceuticals. So check it out, everybody.
I could say so many nice and biased things about Canine Pharmaceuticals and my wife, but what I will say is ignore me. Just look at testimonials. The testimonials speak for themselves. That's where the field trials are working. What makes Narelle's day, and mine as well, is when people are emailing in and sending messages of, well, primarily people have had no hope in the past because just everything that they were trying wasn't working, and now it is. And that is the testament that something is actually really working. And the other thing which I will add, one of the things that Narelle's told me in the past is dogs are incapable of understanding the placebo effect.
Oh, that's a good point.
So you can fake it on a human, but you can't fake it on a dog.
I never thought about that before. That's actually a really good point.
Well, my wife's actually a very smart person.
There you go.
So she's told me that humans are subject to the placebo effect where dogs are not. So it either works or it doesn't on dogs.
There you go. That makes total sense.
Yep.
There's one other person who puts a fair amount of work into this show.
Yeah.
It's me.
Yeah. Funny about that.
And I have a digital product that you can buy. If you go to my website, seriousdogbusiness.com, right now I've got 2 courses available to you. The Overview, which is a small course where you could learn how I teach.
Yep.
But the other one is the Wave Tops, which is a bigger course. It's everything I know about dog training. Well, it's not everything. It's a lot of what I know about dog training.
Yeah,
Check it
terrific.
out.
Yeah.
$500 dues. That's all it's going to cost you.
I recommend it when people are saying, what do I do? How do I get in the industry? I recommend them to your course.
Oh, wonderful. Thanks,
Yeah.
sir. All right, on with the show. Welcome back to the Canine Paradigm. I'm your host, Pat Stewart, and I'm joined today by my co-host, Glenn Cook. Hello, sir. How are you?
Hello. Hello, friends. Hello, everybody.
Mate, it's Friday afternoon. We're recording. It's been a long week. Been working a lot of dogs. My body's sore. My brain's tired. I just wanted to laugh.
Good.
I wanted to hang out with my bud and talk some bullshit and other people can listen. And so I just put into our Facebook group, hit us with some funny topics and we can work through these, but there's a particular place I want to start.
Okay.
It's
just for the record, I haven't
attention.
seen this. So it's something that you just mentioned to me as we came online. I thought, well, rather than look at it, I'll get you to read it and I'll respond to it.
Yep. Okay. So Ashley McEwen, who's a trainer over in Perth, she says, please discuss the worst diarrhea disasters you've ever had with dogs, although human stories would be funny too. So I thought that's a place to start if we're talking about funny stuff. Now, here's the thing. I can remember one day I was actually just picking up one of my own dog's turds. And I remember thinking to myself, geez, I wonder what portion of my life has been spent cleaning up dog shit. Like, what percentage, what actual measurable quantity of my life has been spent either scooping, scraping, hosing, or picking up dog shit?
Whatever number you give me, I can trump you in that tenfold.
Oh, man, you've handled so much more dog poo than me. And I've had dog poo in my eyes, in my mouth, in my ears.
Everywhere.
I've been covered head to toe in it. I had to have a pretty decent fight with a military working dog in his kennel while I was cleaning it, and he was a wall painter, and the whole thing was the pair of us were completely covered in shit, head to toe. So yeah, in terms of a story, let me tell that story because I'm pretty sure I've told it on the podcast before, but it's a hell of a one. We had this dog. His name is Preston. He was crazy. He was one of those, I'm pretty sure he was a Manny son, but you know those Malleys that have that sort of belligerence about them? Had like real big, he looked like a Manny son because he had that real big forehead with like googly eyes on top of it. And he was generally a pretty good dog, very strong, very powerful dog, but he did not like being told what to do. Like he was one of those dogs that took offense pretty easily to things. And I don't know his full history before he came to us, and he was an older dog by the time he came to us, but he had been through the ringer. He was one of those dogs you could tell had been through the ringer and probably had been not treated especially well by some people and had decided, hey, that's not happening to me again, right? So I never really had any issues with the dog. He tore up his own handler quite badly. Like the handler's jacket kind of swayed in the breeze one day and just caught the prey of the dog who lunged at it. And he like, hey, knock it off. And the dog was like, oh, okay, man, you can fight instead. And like they had a proper fight. It was pretty significant. So I never really had any issues with the dog. I didn't handle him ever. I never worked him in any way, shape or form beyond I cleaned his kennel and I took him out on weekends when I was there doing kennels and I threw the ball for him. And he was the kind of dog that in the like little yard there, that's where he bit plenty of people. And so I was always real careful of him. I was like, I made sure that I did him last so that I wasn't on the clock, that all the other jobs were done. And that if he didn't want to come back to me, because I'm not his handler, I'm not the boss of him, I'll wait because we're trapped in this yard. You'll come back. And I always went out with food and it was always just normal shit like that you and everybody else knows about, just real cooperative because this is a dog who doesn't like being told what to do. He's very capable and willing to bite people. So just keep things light and fairy with this dog, make things easy, right? So I'm doing that. And the way it worked in those military kennels in that old section there was that the dogs had like, it was a triple stage kennel. The dog had a bed space, then his main inside area, and then his outside area that was separated by a guillotine. Mm-hmm. And so what you were kind of meant to do was put the dog into his bed space. His main door then opens all the way around and locks him in the bed space. And then you can clean the whole kennel without any risk of that dog being anywhere near, which I should have done. That was the procedure. So, but like with the dogs that you knew and you were friendly with, you could have them loose in the kennel with you. Like we had that dog Chevy who was the coolest and you know, he was always fun. You'd be cleaning his kennel and he would like ram his nose up your ass and try and push you around the kennel and it would be hilarious. You know, like you'd be smacking him, stop it, Chevy, and he'd be driving you into the corner. And it was just a good time you had with this dog. So anyway, I'm cleaning Preston's kennel and I didn't fully lock his gate. Right now, mind you, this is, I think it was like Sunday morning. And so it's the weekend. He's been in that kennel for 24 hours and he was a wall painter. Right. So
like your dog,
like the way it would work.
Your dog's a fucking wall painter.
A million times worse than my dog. Right. Like, cause my dog only did that at your place. He never did that anywhere else.
True.
Preston did that all the time. Right. So Preston, he would take a shit. and then he would just paint the walls in his shit. And it was like how he entertained himself all day. That's what he did. So I'm in his kennel. I think it was a Sunday, but it was definitely either a Monday morning or a Sunday, in that he had 24 hours in there by himself to just paint shit all over the wall. Right. So I've got the pressure washer and I'm cleaning the walls of where he's rubbed shit all over the walls. And I looked back at him. You know how it is. I'm in my uniform I've got to wear for the day, and there is just turd water just spraying everywhere. Right. It's everywhere because it's all over the walls. I'm trying to clean it. And I remember thinking to myself, ugh, this is so gross. This dog is such a grub. Why does he rub the walls with his shit? None of the other dogs do this. Why does he do that? And I turned to look at him, and I still had that sort of look of disgust on my face as I made eye contact with him. And he just was like, nah, mate, you don't look at me that way, and just launched at me. And I hadn't shut him in his bed space fully. Like his door was kind of closed, but it wasn't fully closed. And he hit that at Mach 10 and came at me. And so I'm like, yeah, this is early days for me and dogs too. I don't really know what I'm doing. So I kind of have a panic attack, and I'm like, all I have is this pressure washer. So I turned the pressure washer at him, and I'm like spraying him with the pressure washer, which doesn't slow him down even a little bit, right? Like he just comes through it. I end up having to sort of like fend him with this pressure washer. Thank fuck I could do that, and pushing him into the corner. But now the whole kennel is covered in the water that I've been using to clean his kennel and his shit, right? So it's this soupy poo disaster throughout the whole kennel. As me and the dog, he's desperately trying to bite me, and I'm desperately trying to escape him. But both of us are basically just doing burnouts on the spot in the poo soup, right? Like he's going flat stick trying to get me as I keep pushing him with the pressure washer. Because it's one of those ones with a real long nozzle, right? So I'm like pushing him over with it so he can't get up. And he's just getting angrier and angrier as I'm doing burnouts on the spot, trying to fucking trying to get out of the kennel, right? So I end up managing to get him sort of past me so that I have a clear line for the door. And I'm like, no, fuck this. Like, here's my chance. I'm getting out the door. So the two of us, I felt like one of those cartoons or one of those dreams, you know, where your legs don't work, you know, those kind of things. Because I am legit doing burnouts on the spot, trying to get away from this dog. Both of us covered in poo soup, like me and the dog, just head to toe covered in dog shit. As the both of us are doing burnouts on the spot. As I managed to get some traction, because like, no shit, mate, I'm thinking I'm fucked here, right? Like, and I'm like almost sort of dragging myself out by the pressure washer hose because I'm like trying to get some traction somewhere to get out of this kennel. I managed to grab the kennel door and pull it closed behind me as he manages to kind of get traction as well. And he slams into that kennel door and then just stops and stares at me dead. Because like it goes from like carnage of like I'm screaming, trying to call for help. No one's coming. I'm trying to escape this dog. He's like barking, growling, trying to get at me. And then the moment I get out, I like manage to get the door, hear that clunk, and he just stops dead and stares at me. And the two of us are like, now we're separated by this door, this like cyclone mesh fence. And I look at him and I'm like, oh God, I'm out. And he looks at me and the two of us have this moment where we're like, oh, and now we're both completely covered in shit. So I stand up and I say to him, get on your bed. And he looks at me like, we've been through this, mate. We're not like, I am here to fight you. I'm not doing anything you say. Now to get the other guy that was with me to convince him to get on his bed just so that I could close the door and get back in there and clean his kennel. There was no issue. Like the next day it was like, no hard feelings. Everything's fine. Until 3 weeks later, he bit me in the kennel. So he got me. He got me good. That's the poo story that comes to mind when I'm reminded of telling one.
There's always a poo story when you're working in kennels. How can there not be? I recall when I first started working for Boyd and we had kennels down the back. So we had this property in a place called Kilsyth in Victoria. It was an industrial complex that this guy called David had. The company was called Central Springworks. It was owned by a guy called David Armitage. He was very friendly with us and he rented his property. We had to do a little training with his dog. He rented the property to us and he gave us this section down the back where we created some working dog kennels. So we had room for about 20-ish dogs or something like that. So when I came on to work for Boyd, That was primarily my role, was to manage the facilities with Boyd and another guy called Greg and run the kennels down the back. I own dogs and I'd picked up my own dog poo and stuff like that and scooped it up and put it away. But mate, nothing prepared me for the first time. And it usually doesn't when you first start working in it. And back in those days, there was this dry food called Bonnie Working Dog Food. It was a dry food. And overall, it was pretty good. It was made with reclaimed kangaroo meat and everything like that. But mate, this one day we had a bunch of dogs. So I went around and started collecting all these dogs from the environment, Rotties, Shepherds, etc. It was mainly Rotties and Shepherds. I'd fed them all that night and I was really proud of myself because I cleaned out the kennels, fed all the dogs, 0 incidents, all the dogs were behaved, everything was good, and I'd locked up, come back the next day, and mate, there was fucking shit from arsehole to breakfast. And it was horrendous. I'm walking in there and I'm thinking, I can't do this. I just can't do this. It was like the second day that I was working there and I'm thinking, no, fuck this. This is not worth it. I'm not in a position.
I'm not cut out for this.
I'm not cut out for this. So I walked in there and I rang Boyd and I said, mate, there is like dog shit everywhere. And he goes, so clean it up. And he was just very dry about it. I'm thinking, oh, fuck. So I've got the scoop and I've walked in. I'll let one of the dogs out and same sort of thing. The dog's got shit all over it because it's just one of those dogs that's doing somersaults in its own shit and smeared it everywhere. So I'm scooping it up and have you ever seen those videos online where the guys open that can of Swedish fish and like as soon as
they're dry reaching.
And as soon as they pop it, they're just dry reaching. And mate, I'm scooping it and I'm just thinking of anything else but where I am. I'm trying to put my mind in a pleasant place because any time I looked at it or smelled it, I'm sitting there going, ugh! I'm thinking to myself, come on, mate, it can't be that bad. Just man up, get in there and clean it up. Mate, I threw up probably about 4 times trying to get it. I had this bin liner stretched over the bin and the bin liner kept falling in and there was just shit everywhere. It was probably the worst dog shit experience I've ever had in my life. Like there was just shit everywhere. I was covered in it by the end. Like it was just all over my boots. It was all over me. It was all over the dogs. The dogs were jumping on me and they'd come to the front of the gate and literally, as you said before, they'd hit you with it and splatter it all over your face, all over your body. So I was freckled with dog shit every time the dogs would jump against the fence. And I got to the end of the day, I'm thinking, how the hell am I going to see my way through this? Like, how do I explain to people this is what I do for a job? I get fucking covered head to toe in dog shit. The resolve was I did speak to Boyd about it. And he said, yeah, look, we probably need to feed them more protein. So let's go down and get some lamb necks and feed that term. After feeding the lamb necks, the next day it was like all these beautifully formed hard logs that you just walked in and just went clink, clink and picked up and threw them in the bin. So, yeah, it was a lesson learned, but I got through it. The other story that I've got, the one that really made me laugh quite a lot, was I had this mate in Melbourne and he had this beautiful Rottie and he was a very good working dog. He was related to, the father of his dog was related to a little bitch that I had that I got off a lady called Joy from Rottwell Kennels. And the little female's name was Gammon. And she was for a little Rottie, she was an absolute powerhouse. And my mate Rob, it was funny, we had conflicts back in the days when we were all kids, but as adults, we all grew up and really enjoyed each other's company. But Rob was this ultra clean, neat freak. Like he loved everything superbly clean all the time. So if I went round his house, he was like David McCalson from ProDog in Melbourne.
With his vacuuming.
With his vacuuming. And Rob was exactly like that. So if you went round his house and you're eating a biscuit and having a coffee with him or something like that, the minute you turn your back, he'd be there vacuuming up the carpet and wiping the bench down. And I'd say, what's wrong with you? And he'd go, I'm Italian, mate. That's what I do. That's how we are. Just relax. Everything's fine. This is just how we were brought up. And I said, yep, whatever. House was immaculate. Garden was immaculate. Car was immaculate. He had like that pride in everything that he owned. So he had this dog. Can't remember his name, but he was in the back of his car one day. That was in those days where we used to have those full metal frame, welded frame kennels rather than Very kennels or those plastic kennels. It was just the big bulky wire kennels. There was a bunch of us and we were talking about civil aggression, and I was saying, like Rob's dog, when you do defense work with him, like he has a very good civil response and you can actually see it. And everybody's saying, oh, can we see the dog? And I said, yeah, because I was kind of with a group of people that I was training and I was doing a seminar at the same time, and I was showing them examples of good transitions between civil defense and prey. His dog was terrific in both. Like he could show this really peeled back, mean looking face when you agitated the dog, and then he could switch immediately into prey mode. As soon as you brought a sleeve or a toy out or anything like that, like you could see like an immediate transition between the two modalities of thinking. Like the dog would go bang, bang, and switch immediately. And it was great. It was great to see. So anyway, the dog was in the car. I was talking to people. Rob had a Commodore wagon at the time, pride of his life, like Commodore owners in the day. Had the tailgate up, dog sitting in the back, and I'm running over and I'm agitating the shit out of him. Rob's in the front of the car, like talking to his dog, and I could hear him in the front. He's going, Glenn, stop it immediately. And I couldn't because I was so involved in it. I couldn't hear him properly because the dog was barking and making a lot of noise. And I could hear his muffled response. And he's got out of the car and he's literally caked in shit because the dog had the squirts at the time. So while he's barking at me, he's literally peppering him like it's going like that, and hitting the back of the car seat, hitting him, and it's all over the back of his car, and he's going, what the fuck are you doing? Why did you do that? Why didn't you stop? And I'm going, mate, at the time, it caused a little bit of a rift between us for about a month. He was so upset about it. I think that's about the amount of time it took him to clean the upholstery and, literally sterilize his car from top to bottom. So for me and everybody else, it was hilarious. But for Rob, it was like the worst. He was going to almost just set fire to his car right there and there. He was so disgusted in what happened. He just did not know what to do. He was sort of standing there and he's going, what do I do? And I said, well, go and clean the car. And he goes, this is all your fault. You should clean the car. And I said, mate, I didn't give your dog diarrhea. You were the one who wanted me to agitate your dog and show the example. Like, it's just one of those things, buddy. Like this is what dogs do. And he goes, I never signed up for this. I didn't know dogs do this sort of shit. I don't know what to do about this. And he was really in just a state of absolute conflict at the time of whether or not he actually wanted to go forward as a dog owner. But once he calmed down, he came back down. He goes, oh, mate, look, sorry. He goes, that's just the worst day I've ever had in my life. And I said, mate, sorry, but for me it was one of the best. I said, it'll go down in history as just something I can't forget. So, yeah, that was poor Rob and his dog. But, that happens. Dogs get diarrhea. People get diarrhea.
I was working a dog once as a police dog. I was in America and we were just working some grip stuff and the dog, he was a big, strong dog and he must have had an upset guts and he counted and the handler was right behind him because we were doing some grip stuff and he coiled up and counted like big punch in, bit harder and just sprayed a shit all over the handler's foot. Just a 1 foot. And it was the weirdest thing because all of us just pretended it didn't happen. Like I didn't know what to say. I didn't know what to say. And I didn't want to make a big deal of it. And I was busy doing something with the dog. And the handler just that like cognitive dissonance of like, if we just don't acknowledge this, that it didn't happen. And we don't have to deal with this. And nothing ever came of it. I worked the dog. This looks real good. And I remember saying to the guy, you got an out? Because I'm hoping I don't have to slip my fucking jacket into the ground. Oh dear. Like I say, I reckon I've handled a lot of dog shit, but it couldn't hold a candle to you.
Oh, mate. Think about all the girls who work in kennels on a daily basis and especially, big kennels in peak periods like Christmas and so forth. When you get dogs in, they get stressed, it's hot, there's just a lot going on. There's dogs that, are matched up. And there is times where like I've gone in to help staff at Christmas time or anything like that and I've just said, what do you want me to do? And sometimes they'll say, like, can you help wash the dishes? Or sometimes they'll say, can you just grab a scoop and help a scoop? 30-odd years on, when I go in there now, it's like it's just a Tuesday. Like you can pick up every context of poo that you can think of and it doesn't bother you. But, mate, it's not a job for the weak-stomached. It's a very confronting job. And talking about this and laughing about it, I do want to acknowledge all the staff that work in dog care facilities of any type, even cat care. I mean, like we talk about dogs, but cats can literally look like they do fucking parkour while they're doing shit sometimes. Like most of the time you think, oh, they're beautiful and neat and, they just do these wonderful little poos in trays. But sometimes you go in there and it's all over the place and you just think, what were you hanging off the ceiling when you did that? Like where did that come from? So shout out to you staff, mainly young ladies in pet care facilities, because it's an important job, especially for all those people who are entrusting your dogs and cats when they're going on holidays and they're on the beach and you're, in 30 odd degree day weather, stressing over making sure their dogs are okay, picking up all their poo and, cleaning out their runs spotlessly. And there's a lot of our staff and a lot of people I know around the world who do that job. So power to you. You do an incredible job and you should be acknowledged.
I've talked about it many times. When I was, realizing I was going to leave the army and I wasn't real sure what I was going to do, but I knew I wanted to work in the dog space, I started working. I had a lot of leave built up from years and years and years of working over Christmas and stuff. And so I took all my leave and started working in the dog industry and volunteering places and stuff like that to kind of figure out what am I going to do as a civilian dog guy. The guys at Scruffy's were incredible. Like I could never repay them if I'm honest, because I went to them and I didn't know them. And it was just that my physio's dog went to there. It was the only link that I had. And I went to the guys that own it and just said, hey, I'm considering opening a daycare. I'm trying to do the feasibility study here and understand what it is. Do you mind if I work here for a month? I worked for free. Like I didn't get paid, but I was like, do you mind if I work here for a month? And I want to be very open with you. Like it's to learn your business and steal your business model. Like that's what I want to do. And they considered it. And I'll never forget, Eleanor was her name. She said to me, where do you think you'll open? I said, I guarantee you they're on the north side of Sydney and I said, it won't be this side of the Harbour Bridge. It'll be in the city if I open. And they were like, yep, okay, you're not going to be a competitor to us, like for sure. Like, and they were incredible to me, mate. Like I could never repay them for what they did. But I remember my first day, there was this Labrador named Jim. I'll never fucking forget this dog. And I'd never seen anything. I'd never seen anything like this. So Jim was a 5-day-a-week dog, right? Like he was there. He was picked up early and he was by their service. He was picked up and taken home last. So he was there all the time. And he was a really cool dog. He really was a very sweet dog. However, the first time I saw it, and it was within the first 20 minutes of my first ever shift at the daycare. And everybody that works in daycare has probably seen this, but I had never seen it, right? Jim, there's another dog doing a poo, and Jim went running over, and it was like soft serve out of the machine, mate. Like
filthy little buggers.
But he formed a seal on that other dog's butt and was just eating the poo, right? Yeah. Mate, and that was my reaction. That was my reaction. I was like, "Whoa, what's that dog doing?" I was like, "This is hilarious. Why is he doing that?"
Formed a
and
seal.
as I'm laughing, one of the girls that works there is running over there like, "Jim, stop it, Jim!" Right? and she looks at me, killing myself laughing the way you are. I'm like, because I'd never seen anything like that. Now I've seen it a million times, but I'd never seen it to that point. And I was like, what is happening? And she's like, don't let him do that. No matter what, you got to interrupt that. Don't let him do that behavior. And as I'm killing myself laughing, and I actually said it out loud, I was like, why? That's one less poo we have to clean up. It's like, oh, you wait. It's like, you wait. And then an hour later when Jim vomits poo just everywhere, the cleanup is 1,000 times worse than if it were that. And that was his job, mate. That was his full-time job at the daycare, was just hunting out other dogs' poos. And there were like many times you'd have to be like, get back, Jim, this is mine, as you're trying to clean it up. And he was such a fun dog. Like he was such a cool dog. And
imagine meeting him for the first time while he's just licking you all over the face.
100%. That's what's happening. Like as he goes to every cafe around Manly, like without a doubt, that's what's happening. Because he was the best. He was like this big chocolate lab that was just loved everyone and everything.
And nobody knows that his name is Shit-Eating Jim.
Everybody knows that Jim's fucking eating Mr. Whippy straight out of the faucet. Like he's on the chocolate ice cream nonstop as much as he can fucking get. Just smooching everyone. Oh, God.
Imagine all these northern Sydney, northern beaches, posh women. Yeah. Oh, Jim, aren't you darling little boy, lovely, licking mummy all over the lips. Well, I'm sitting here having a nice little biscuit and a piccolo, and Jimmy's giving me nice little kisses.
Oh, mate. That's like 12 years ago. I remember it like it was yesterday. Like that was so ingrained in my mind. But I remember even thinking then, like at that daycare when I was there, I was like, holy shit. Because, like when I was in the army working the kennel, it was like 16 dogs in the kennel max, right? Like, and that was max. So usually there might be 8 dogs or whatever. So like there's a decent amount of dog shit, but it's not a lot of dog shit compared to like you're at a daycare where every dog, there's seldom less than 50 dogs there and they're knocking out 2 turds a day. That's a lot of dog shit.
Try having 250 dogs in the peak of Christmas.
Mate.
And
can't imagine
that's what I'm saying. The girls that I want to acknowledge, mainly girls, there's lads in there as well, but like Christmas morning when everybody's getting up and they're either hungover or they're sitting there watching the kids unwrapping presents and stuff like that, at 7 o'clock in the morning, they're opening kennels up and they're medicating and cleaning dog shit.
Yeah.
They're good kids. They're very, very good kids.
That's one of the things, like I remember as well, people always ask about like kennel fit outs and stuff in your car. So Remy's dad, Jack, was an escape artist, right? Like he was a really powerful dog, but he also enjoyed the idea of getting out of stuff. So if you, like when you put him in a crate, you had to make sure there was nothing within like unraveling his tongue's length of the crate, because he would manage to, if there was anything that he could reach, he would pull it in and destroy it. And like a normal wire crate, you could just recall Jack out of one of those. Like he would go in it and be like, okay, I'm in the crate and I'll stay here. But just so you know, this is an emotional barrier. This is not a physical barrier. And you could just be like, hey, Jack, come here. And he'd just like muscle his way through the corner and get out. He could get out of everywhere. He was really strong and powerful. And the guy who built the original kennels for my car, my van, my first van, he had met Jack and he knew what he was like. And he kind of got the brief on like, hey, this is the kind of dog that we have. Anyway, so he built these raptor-proof kennels for me. When Earth gets hit by a meteorite, those kennels are still going to, like, archaeologists are going to find those fucking kennels.
Oh, yeah, I remember them. I saw them. They had the magnetic latches and everything on them.
Yeah, all kinds of stuff. But if a dog had a blowout in there, good luck.
Yeah.
Like, man, it was so much work to clean. Like, it was so hard to get them out and to clean them properly and to actually service and maintain them. That's why whenever people ask now, I'm like, no, you just don't do anything that even resembles a permanent fit out in your car, van, whatever. Like, you've got to be able to get that kennel in and out very easily, because when you're like, and we always imagine like, yeah, I'll clean the kennels. I'll get it out of the thing and I've got the place where I'll do it, but that's not where you're going to clean the kennel. You're going to be driving down the highway one day.
Yeah. With your dog tied to the side of the car while you're tipping water bottles into it and gagging on the side of the road.
Yeah, exactly. And you're like hoping that the water bottle that you, like the 700 mils of water that you have,
it's going to
drinking
out
along the way.
5 liters of diarrhea that the dog put in there.
And we've all done that. Like if you, and like if you're listening and you haven't done that, well, the clock is ticking, my friend. Mm-hmm. Like if you're a dog person, that day is coming. You're going to be driving along one day and you're going to hear, mate, I remember one of the worst ones was I was at the beach with, it was Remy. It was Remy. I was at the beach with him and we're throwing the frisbee, and because he's got lunatic drive around water. He's got like, around bodies of water, he sort of loses his mind. He loves it. He loves the splashing, kicks him into drive, thinks it's prey. So like he is at his most intense when I'm throwing a frisbee for him. And I don't really do it anymore because he's too old. But one of his favorite things is to like fight through waves. So I'd go to like Rose Bay or some of the other sort of smaller beaches where there's little waves and throw the frisbee for him. And he loves just punching through those waves and getting the frisbee and like, being in the rough surf. He loves it. But a lot of salt water goes into the dog.
Yeah, I was going to say seawater in is liquid nitrogen coming out the back.
Yeah. But I was driving along. I was in Vaucluse because we were at the beach over there. So like for people who don't know, that's the fanciest area of Sydney. Like that's where, that is the richest, fanciest space, Vaucluse. So I'm driving along and I can hear him. We're leaving the beach and I can hear him starting to panic. And he didn't bark or anything, but I can hear him in the back of the van just like, there's a problem. So I just stopped because there was nowhere to park. And I was like, fuck this. I'm on the clock. I don't have time to find a parking spot. So on like the middle of Old South Head Road or New South Head Road, whichever one it is, I just slam on the brakes, run around. back of the car, open the door. It was like I had my barn doors, open that, and Remy jumps out in the middle of it. I don't even have time to put a leash on him, right? He knows what's going on. He jumps out and just sprays shit all over the road, liquid, just salt water everywhere. And then just like, right, done, gets back in his car. I quickly get in and we ran away.
Yeah.
That was it.
Well, you know that's what they use as colon cleanse.
I think we could talk about dog shit for a whole episode. Yeah, it's just salt water. Yeah. Saline. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, as much as I could talk about dog shit for a whole episode, we probably shouldn't.
Well, we've probably just
a
lost half our audience. They've probably just gone,
We lost our non-real dog people.
Yeah.
The real dog people know that's dog life. We're emotionally supporting a lot of people through the trauma of their own heinous dog shit experience that they've all had. And if you haven't had it as a dog person, it's coming.
Well, how about we make a pact that after people listen to this episode, they go to the discussion group and write in there about their own experiences in something that they've had as well, because I'm sure there's some other funny ones that people have had.
All right. So let me read some of these other things. It's all jumbled up. I can't get them in order because Facebook doesn't seem to want to do that anymore. So I'm going to start at the bottom, which I'm thinking should be sort of early to when people put it in. And Lisa Hildebrand says, quirky dog behavior. My male will smush his head into me and push forward until he slides his feet down my legs and feet, butt in the air, and does a somersault into laying on his back. Just him being himself. Of all your dogs, what's one of the quirkiest, strangest things that any of them do? You'd have to have some good ones with your crazy Frenchies.
I was going to say, haven't you guys seen Opie, aka the Eggman? Like, he's zany all the time. Like, he's special needs. There's no doubt about it. He doesn't do it so much for Narelle, and he does it for me because I know that he likes the fact that it entertains me and I laugh at him and it encourages him to do it. But anytime I'm in the room, all I have to do is look at him. He'll get up. If he's asleep, he'll get up and he'll run over and he'll start headbutting anything that's in the room. So there's a bucket on the ground, he'll run over and start headbutting the bucket. If there's if the wood heater, if that's there, he'll go over and start headbutting the wood heater. He's just a full-on little clown the way he does this. You've been to the house at Dural when he used to headbutt the cat all the time. Like he left so many marks on the wall that we had to have it professionally cleaned and painted up when we left because he would just sit there and go bang, 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 bang. It's funny in small doses, but it becomes like a daily ritual, and then he'll start grinding things into the wall and being a real pain in the ass about it. But I must admit, I still laugh about it. I still put stories up. People around the world still have a giggle at it and think it's hilarious. But it does drive you mad at times. But yeah, that's a quirky behavior that we get is Opie just being a predominant headbutter.
Remy's funny, quirky behavior for a long time. He couldn't do it anymore if his life depended on it. But he used to do these. He'd run if he got the zoomies in the house. He'd do this like bucking like a bronco thing, and then he'd run down like the little hallway that I have to my front door, and then just full steam at the couch and do like a not backflip, like forward flip into the couch, which would usually result in like what he wanted to happen was that he would get stuck between the cushions and like upside down. Yeah. And he would do that and then immediately look at me and I would be hysterical. It happened because it happened by accident one time and I was killing myself laughing and he thought that was the best thing ever. And so he would do that intermittently and that's his quirky behavior. Val's quirky behavior that I would love to truly understand. I have so much footage of it, but it's just in my home. The quirky behavior between my two dogs where Valerie maintains control over Remy, but makes him groom her. And it's so funny the way that she like dominates him, but then like submits to him in the same way. It's a really peculiar behavior, but it always looks to me like it's her having a soft moment with him, but controlling him as well. Because like she really controls him because she doesn't like it when he accelerates in drive. She just gets out of his way when he does that. And so she really sort of controls him with an iron fist. And that's her quirky behavior.
Mando's he's not really a quirky dog. He likes to have a little bit of fun, but he's a bit more serious than what the other dogs are. Sometimes like he'll go to have fun and you'll look at him and you'll go, oh no, I'm not having fun. I'm not going to do that. Whereas Randy was all about fun his whole life. Like all Randy thought about was just being a fucking clown. And like, as I've told people before, that bloody dog never had an off switch. He just wanted to go all the time. One of the things that he used to do, and it happened more towards the end of his life in his older years, which always made me laugh and think about that skit where there's a guy standing on a beach and he yells out, "What's your name?" And the other guy goes, "Ezekiel." He finally goes, "Hey, Ezekiel, fuck you."
Fuck you.
So Randy used to just stand at the fence looking out and he'd hold his Kong ball and then like he'd be barking, doing this funny little bark with his Kong ball in his mouth, and then he'd just shake it and growl and toss it all around. And I just used to watch him. Like that became a nightly ritual for him to do. And I used to love it. I used to think that is the coolest thing. And he was just like telling the world that get fucked, you know, because he could hear people out in the car park at the kennels and he was just telling people, fuck off, and just shaking his Kong ball in protest. But yeah, he was a funny boy watching him do that shit.
One of the things I like watching Remy do, same deal. He can't do it anymore, although he does now and again. But you remember when he was young, like to end a session, I would let him keep the ball or whatever, and he would immediately transition to the knot on the end of the ball
bash
on the string,
himself
rather
around.
than hold it. Well, he would kick the ball. So he would like have his head down hanging on to the knot, and he would kick it and run around. And then eventually he'd kick it and it would hit him, and then he'd crack the shits at it and start rattling it. And then obviously it would hit him more, and that would just accelerate him more. And he'd end up in these
that was hilarious.
Massive fights with himself, just like slamming the Durophone ball into his own shoulders. And you kind of had to rescue him from it because he got so angry at the ball that he wanted to rattle the ball more, which only made the ball hit him more. And he'd have to be like, "Stop, it's you fucking idiot. You're doing it to yourself." Oh, goodness. All right, here's one. Has there been a concept or skill that you've wanted to teach your dog, or maybe even dabbled in from time to time, but just remains elusive and you've never quite got there with them? You got anything like that? To me, it's dancing. You know that? Like, you remember years and years ago.
Oh, yeah, you
when I
really
watched
got into that, didn't you? You were really.
Oh, mate, I did. And look, I might, who knows? Who knows? I might, with a dog in the future, take it up. But every now and again, that just enters my mind. And because I look at my old dogs, because like my dogs are old, and especially Valerie in the last month, Valerie's become a really old dog. She's gone completely deaf, which is a bummer. You know, like I don't actually know how long she's been deaf for or going deaf because, you know, I don't. Like, she's just my shadow. She just goes everywhere, and she's so integrated into my life that I don't actually tell her to do anything that isn't obvious to her at the time. So, like, you know, she goes everywhere with me. I get to somewhere, I open the kennel, she gets out, she follows me around, and then we go back to the car and I open her crate and she gets in her crate. And so it occurred to me that I don't tell her to sit and to do anything. She just always is doing the right thing. So it occurred to me, like, I don't know how long it's been since I've actually told her, I've needed her to do something and I've told her, do this, and she's followed an instruction versus just been in the right place at the right time doing the right thing.
Yeah, they get good old dog privileges.
Exactly. And it was last week, we were down at the park and me and Remy had sort of moved on and she was busy, I don't know, smelling dust or whatever she was doing. And I turned around to call her and she didn't respond and like didn't just fully funked me. Like I was like, "Hey, come on." And she didn't respond at all. And then I called her a couple more times and no reaction. I was like, "Oh shit, she can't hear me." And then I realized, I saw her kind of look up and realize I'd gone. And I could see her kind of panicking, like, I can't find him. And she's looking around as I'm yelling and whistling and clapping and all kinds of stuff. And then she saw me and came running over. And that's when I realized, I was like, "Oh, you're deaf. You're total. It's gone. It's gone. Like, I've known you're an old dog, but it's gone. You can't hear me at all." And like, I think she might be pretty close to totally deaf. Like, she can still hear bits and pieces, but I think it's getting pretty bad. And I didn't know that, you know, like I didn't see a progression of it. And she's just suddenly in the last 6 weeks become an old dog. And Remy too, like both of them are really, he's about to turn 9 in a few days. And so like, it's kind of a shitty, yeah, it sucks being a dog trainer of 2 old dogs. And I'm training plenty of other people's dogs and stuff, but not having dogs to work on myself. And every time I kind of flirt with doing dancing with Remy because I look at it and I go, "Oh, it's pretty low impact, you know, like he can do whatever." but he just moves like a tank and I don't know anything about it and I want to learn more, but I just haven't. So that's been the thing that I sort of have dabbled and thought about and maybe one day I'll get into, but I can't dance for shit. So I don't know that I'll be able to actually do it very well, but it fascinates me. I'm really into it. And I do want to go to a dog dancing trial or something like that. So someone let me know when the next one in Australia is.
Yeah, listening to you talking about that, it reminded me of, and in conjunction with the listener's original question, I was dabbling with wanting to get into noseworks, like being a competitor. And I was training Ladybug up into it. And she was doing great. Like her work was nice and methodical. You know, like I had her on a couple of odors. She was doing really good searches. We'd started to transition from making it really easy to somewhat difficult. And her first odor, which was birch, she was smashing it. She was doing good inside searches, outside searches. I videoed a lot of it and I was showing, you know, some people because I really wanted to get a Frenchie through some complex search work. And we were doing great with it. And that was around the time that she got the spinal hematoma and everything went south. And it really fucking crushed me. Like the whole thing, you know, like most people when tragedies happen, you kind of think, fuck, not only am I in disbelief about what's happening to my dog, but I've just done all that training and preparation for what? And it really just caved in on top of me and I lost a lot of, I kind of didn't want to know about it after that. Like it just, I kind of thought, oh, I don't know why. It was just like this ridiculous superstition that I kind of thought, did I push her too much during that? Or when I was doing Dancing Bear with her to stand on the ball, like was that the catalyst that caused it? But in hindsight, none of it was. I mean, she was just this erratic little powerhouse that she'd go ricocheting and she'd jump off furniture, even if you'd tell her not to and, you know, chastise her and catch her and stop her from doing it. The minute you turned her back, she'd be doing it again. She's just this, and still is, even though she's wobbly little, she looks like a wobbly little drunk person. She's just this enormous drive monster of a dog that anytime she gets aroused, she just wants to go. And she'll still do it now. Like her little spaghetti legs go scrabbling everywhere when she goes flying off after something. But just then when she had full mobility, she's like Ricochet Rabbit. She'd be going off the walls and over everything and just almost impossible to control. But I took a real hit to the confidence over it. I just sort of down tools and never picked them up again. But eventually it would be something that I would like to get back into because I did spend a lot of time. I was in between everything else I was doing. That was the one thing that I was sort of just having quality time with my dog, teaching her how to do a lot of putting my skills and knowledge into practice, teaching it the way that I wanted to teach it instead of going through the traditional channels. I was doing it the way I did. And I was finding good success. I was getting other dogs to come in and just try and disrupt her and create problems for her and getting her to think through that and work through that. She did great and it was heartbreaking. So I kind of just went, that's the end of it. And I never really looked back into it. But I kind of thought how stupid that was the other day. I was having a reflection on things like that. I kind of thought, well, that was dumb. I really should have just got back on the horse and ridden away with it.
Yeah, that was a bummer.
It was a bummer.
All right, here's one. What's the most embarrassing time your dog has blown off a cue to make all of us feel better? When's your dog just blown you off? You got a worse moment of that one?
I was doing this presentation day. I was sponsored back in the day. This is before I was in Melbourne. Before I was with Pet Resorts. I was doing this presentation. I had my dog, Dutch. And Dutch was a good dog. He was a good, solid, good working dog too. He was, you know, good obedience dog. He did a lot of tricks and he was quite a steadfast dog until he saw a balloon. I actually didn't know it was a problem until it was a problem. There was a kid in the crowd with a balloon and he just could not fucking get his eyes off it. And I was, you know, like I was telling him to do things and he shut down on me completely. He's just like, nah, fuck you. I'm not doing anything you say because I want that balloon. It's not that he ran off and caused a problem or harassed the kid or got the balloon or anything like that. Like he didn't get what he wanted. But I had no idea that he had such a fixation because he just saw this balloon and thought, oh my God, that is beautiful. I've never seen anything like that and I want it. Anything else, I could have a cat there. I could have a dog. I could have people. I could have farm animals because we used to train at this place called Myuna Farm and even one of our home centres was at a farm in Ferntree Gully, like a hobby farm. So there was activity and shit going on there all the time. So we used to have this real social habitual presence with a lot of stimuli that we would be able to work our dog through. So of course it would never have occurred to me. I didn't think to myself, oh, balloons are going to be a problem. So it happened, and I just had to put my hands up and I said to the crowd, look, never work with dogs and children.
Yeah.
And people laughed and I said, yeah, sorry guys. I said, I had a great show planned. He did some of it. We got probably about halfway through it before he noticed the balloon, and then he just completely shut down and blew me off and just basically, he's standing there going, fuck you, I'm not doing anything. And he was just in such high prey mode that I couldn't get his mind off it. Had I have corrected him hard in front of everybody, it would have got his mind back on the game, because we set the process up and did it again, and I just gave him a firm correction and it snapped him back on track and he got over it reasonably well, and we just started to habituate through that. And I mean, the problem was fixed within 3 sessions, but you're in a crowd full of people, you're supposed to be in proofing stage. And as a professional, I just had to apologize and say, it's one of those things. It is what it is. Instead of being embarrassed about it and walking off, I started talking about how to deal with problems with things like this. I said, this what happens to us, and you guys as dog owners will no doubt come across something like this with your own dog. And I explained to them what socialization is, what habituation is, and why it's so important. I said, so we don't have these sort of issues. And I said, I didn't know he had an issue with the balloon. He does. There's not much more I can do about it because he's fixated on it. And until I fix this problem, it's not going to just go away. And the lady with the kids going, oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to disrupt. I said, no, it's not your problem. I said, it's just something that life throws these things at you. I'll be better prepared for next time. The sponsors were there watching. I was embarrassed about it. I went over with my tail between my legs and they just said, that was hilarious, but so good how you handled your way through it. And they said, you were super professional, how you made it a teaching moment for the crowd. And it actually drew people in, which was good. So people who weren't watching came over to listen to me talk about the problem. A few people laughed and that didn't help my ego at the time. But then people came over and I got approached by various people within the crowd saying, oh, thanks for that, because my dog does that and how can we get in touch with you? So rather than it being this colossal fuck up, which I still went away from it feeling all the dents in my panels over it, but I still went away from it picking up clients from it. So it wasn't a lose-lose situation. It was actually a win. But I guess if I'm going to package this up for anybody who's listening, in those sort of situations, don't just turn around and walk off and be angry with your dog and spoil the moment and so forth. Like, think your way through it and think, okay, something's happened. I can talk about this as a professional to the crowd. And I guess I owe a lot of thanks to Boyd with those type of things, because Boyd taught me how to be a strategist in those very intense moments, because Boyd could turn anything into a story. Even if a dog bit half his leg off, he could somehow turn it into some sort of rescue story in the crowd while he's sitting there, bleeding out and getting somebody to attend to him. He could turn it into some sort of like, oh, yeah, well, we do this, this, and this. He was the master of those sort of things. So I picked up preparation strategies from him and those sort of things, because if I hadn't, my immaturity would have kicked in and I would have got defensive and I would have thought, fucking stupid dog, and just shut the show down and walked off. But there's a lesson in it, and there was a lesson for me, and hopefully if that sort of thing happens to you, if you're listening to this and it happens to you, just work your way through it and think, okay, that's what dogs do from time to time. You have to forgive them. Until you know it's a problem, you don't know how to deal with it until you're put in those sort of situations.
Yeah. For me, I'll tell 2 stories. One's embarrassing for myself, and Jazz still never lets me live it down. Was one time we were training, and my dog's call off is pretty good, right? Like, I put a lot of work into that. It's pretty reliable. If he doesn't call off, I'm surprised. So Jazz was decoying for me, and we're going to do like a flea call off, and it was in a pretty small space. I said, yeah, so walking away, I'll call him off. And so she's not really carrying herself with any expectation of being bitten by a dog, right? Because she knows his call off's really good. So I sent him for a bite and just fumble the whistle. Like, as I'm picking it up, it just, like, my hands have made of jelly. I just couldn't, just didn't get it into my mouth, and he fucking blasted her because she wasn't prepared. She wasn't prepared to catch him at all, and he fucking smoked her. And he's a leg dog on the flea, so just like ripped her leg out from underneath her at a time when she was just walking along as though nothing was going to happen. So she never lets me live that one down. So that was my fault, not the dog. But
Jazz is very good at picking you up on, like, if you mispronounce something or you do something as a fumble. Like, if you want someone to audit you, just ask Jazz, because she's got a mind like a steel trap with those sort of things.
100%. But for sure, the most embarrassed I've been with my dog, and it's totally my fault, was during COVID when the Mondio guys were doing a trial. at the time, it was when I was working outside of dogs. So I hadn't really been training my dog. He was just coming out of an injury and was pretty out of shape. It was just after he'd broken both his legs. He was pretty out of shape. And the Mondio guys were having a trial. And I was like, yeah, cool. Like, I want to be a part of that. I want to do dog sports and I want to support the trial and stuff. And so without a lot of Mondio specific training, especially the defensive handler, which we hadn't done, I had a crack. And we didn't pass because of the defensive handler. Like, it's so different from PSA. And he actually did okay. It was just that there were two decoys and one went one way and the other that was going to touch, like hit me, went the other way with me. And he kind of separated. So even though he came and bit him did all of the defense and stuff, he got more than 10 meters from me. So it's not a pass. So yeah, fair enough, whatever. But then I thought, I would like to pass. So I started training, right? And got my dog in decent shape and trained for it. And then when the guys were having their next trial, it was Margaret McKenna, who's like known as a pretty hard, or not hard, but like she's a strict judge. She's a very strict Mondio judge. So she's judging. I decided I'm going to go out, do it again with my dog. And because we've actually trained, we put on a decent showing and get a leg. And she said to me at the end of the day, so you'll get the other leg tomorrow. And I was like, no, I can't. I've got something on. Like, I had a kid's birthday thing. And so I can't be here all day. And she was really cool about it. She said, like, I don't mind. Because, it's rude to be at a trial and leave the moment you're done. I said, I've only got this sort of 2-hour window. I could come out. And if I was first, I could show, but then I would have to leave. And like, that's rude. And she was like, no, that's fine. Like, I don't mind at all if you want to do that. And so I kind of like, okay. And I had things to do that afternoon. So long story short, I didn't do any of the things that I need to do for my dog. So my dog spent the whole day in the car, came out to do the trial, went fine, and then got back in the car, drove home, spent the night at home, got back in the car to head straight back out there. And like, I know my dog. I know that doesn't work. But in my head was like, oh yeah, that'll be fine. And so from my dog's point of view, he like teleports home, sleeps, teleports back to the exact same place to do the exact same thing. And I knew, mate, as I was entering the field on that second day, I should have just turned around. Like, I knew as we were walking onto the field, I was like, oh, this is going to be a fucking disaster. Because he looked at me like, when you just know, right? Yep, and he looked at me and was like, no, mate, I'm not doing any of that shit. Because yesterday I did everything I was fucking told. Like, I good boyed hard and resulted in me getting to have like 3 pathetic little bites. Because, like trial bites are so pathetic to a dog. It's like a few seconds and then they called off straight away before they even really get to fight. So, and that was his only reinforcer. So as he walked onto the field, he just was like, nah, fuck you. I'm not doing any of this. We got dismissed. Like halfway through, she was like, get the fuck out of here. I was like, yeah, no worries. It was a disaster.
It happened.
And so like it happened. Oh, mate, it happened. And I knew it was going to happen because I didn't do the things. Stupidly, in my head, I was like, this isn't even my sport. I'm just here to have fun. And there was no fun being had. When your dog is falling apart, there was no fucking fun. And I'm looking and they're filming it. I'm like, oh, this is going to be fucking online. This is going to be a fucking disaster. Like, I bet no one watches the video of yesterday where we had a really nice showing. This is going to get plenty of fucking views of us fucking this up.
Ask Casey about that with Zeus.
Mate, we've all been there. Yeah, it happens.
It does.
Happens.
Yeah,
and that's
of course.
the thing.
Yeah.
That's dog training.
That's dog training. That's part of the medal of testing your dogs. And I mean, there's days where I've worked with my dogs and I thought, oh my God, my dog is just bulletproof. There is nothing that could get in the way of this until the day of a trial or the day that you want to show somebody. And you're just thinking, the fuck was that? Who are you?
Yeah.
I don't even know who you are.
Yeah.
And dog's like,
and I think,
the dog was grinning at you going, yeah, well, fuck you. That's what I'm going to do. Like, that's payback, bitch.
Yeah. And mate, that's the nature of working with alive, sentient creatures. Yeah. They make their own choices and we're trying to do our best. And that's the point of competition is you find out like, oh, okay, yeah, no, like, that did not work. Exactly. I will not do that again. I have been proven that has now, I am very certain I have conclusive evidence this does not work.
Yep.
All right, how about we finish on this one?
Mm-hmm.
I love all the funny ideas, but if you're looking for something more heartfelt, maybe talk about feel-good moments in your careers and interactions with clients or handlers that have ignited hope for the dog-human partnership. Help keep a fire under your ass and left you feeling fulfilled in your work. I'll go first on this one because I've got one that immediately jumps to mind.
Sure.
Many, many years ago, it was early days in dog training for me. I was a last resort for a person. So they'd actually already taken the dog to be euthanized. and the vet had said, like, it was behavioral euthanasia. And the vet had been like, hey, what have you done? Like, I'm not just killing this dog. What steps have you done to take this? And he was unhappy with what they'd done and recommended me. And so I go around and within one session radically changed the people and the dog. And I remember their house. Like, I could take you there now. You know, those like really important moments in your life. I can remember the smell in the air when I can remember these people realizing this is working and we're not going to have to kill the dog, right? Like, we are going to be able to keep the dog. And mate, the dog was just frustrated Like it wasn't a big issue at all. It wasn't at all that I was this amazing trainer that solved their problem that no one else could. It turns out the people they had before were just fucking idiots and had told them a bunch of dumb shit about throwing food on the floor. And, you know, like, it was the normal bullshit that you'd expect. But the dog was not a hard case. Couple of little corrections. The dog actually then was like, hey, what? Like, oh, like, it was one of those situations where the dog is constantly doing this horrible thing. And you go, have you tried telling him not to? And they're like, no, because I've been told you're not allowed to do that. And I'm like, okay, well, let's tell him not to rather than killing him. But I can remember that, mate. That was, to me, that's fuel, you know, like where you're in someone's house and you radically change their life, the dog's life, the whole situation all changes. That's the ones where you walk back out to the car and just sit in the car and you're like, oh, okay, I did a good thing today. I didn't just go to work and make some money and I'm going to go home and see my family. Like, I did a good thing today and I saved the dog's life and I improved the lives of these people just with some basic good training. So yeah, that's my favorite story.
I think I've told this story before. However, it warrants probably raising again, or if I haven't told it, it's one that I think about frequently. It's probably a bit of a tale of humility that I learned from an NDTF student. Because there was a time when I was doing the NDTF, because you're teaching like a format, it gets very repetitive. And there were times where I was doing the course and I'm just thinking, you know, I could pretty much do this on autopilot. And there were some times where I was, and I wasn't really putting much soul into it. Like, I'd go out there and I'd teach the lesson and I'd sort of like go back inside and create distance between the students and myself and then go back out there and do it again. And I remember I was out there one day and I was marking assessments, and when the students have to do some of their skills and they have to do a one-on-one with you, and, you know, like, you get to the end of it and you tell them whether they pass or fail. One of the girls, she literally fell to her knees and just put her hands to her eyes and bawled. And she passed. Good news. But she just bawled. And she got up and she said, Glenn, thank you so much. She goes, I don't know if you know how important this is to me. You know, like, I've been struggling with a lot of things, a lot of personal things that have been going on. And this has just been such a breath of fresh air. It's just the sea change I needed. And she said, I just really appreciate everything you did. And I kind of thought to myself, this is a wake-up call. This is something that, like, even though you're doing this on a regular basis, this is so important to a lot of other people to get your full attention and to get the best of you every time you're doing it. And it changed my whole process. It changed my whole mindset. It changed the way that I delivered courses, the stories that I would tell, and the things that I would share with students, and even the scary stories, the vulnerabilities and the things that used to bug me about training or about the industry or about even some of my own shortfallings as a human being or even as a dog trainer. I used to, you know, like, I'd tell people about the times that I got depression and how it affected me, and everything that sort of was a highlight or a low time in my life. We would talk about it. There was nothing that I felt that was off limit, because I realized at that time that was a pinnacle point in my mind. And I think that the universe sent that person to me to deliver a message. And that was, wake up, you motherfucker. Like, stop being so drab about this. Put some feeling into this. These people deserve it. You know, like, if you have the knowledge and you have the resources, then share them to the fullest extent and the fullest capability that you possibly can. And it did. It really woke me up. It woke me up from a many-year coma where I was just sort of like seeing it as a job. There's a famous phrase from a movie of How to Lose Friends and Alienate People. One of the guys in there comes out and he says, hey, this is a vocation. It isn't a vacation. And that's kind of what it was for me. It was I was in a bit of vacation mind, and I remembered it was a vocation. It was something that I had a privilege of teaching people. I had a responsibility of sharing knowledge and giving people a head start and just introducing them to the industry, something that I love and is something that I'm I've had a very much a custodianship of, and along with people like yourself and many other people, wonderful people that I've met along the way, we've shared in this responsibility of, it's not ours, we're just missionaries on this journey to give people the good word of what great training is and how to improve the relationship between people and dogs. And what a privilege that is, as I said before. But that really just inspired me to not just do the job better, but to be a better human being as well. And it also gave me gateways to recognize, like when I'm in the presence of somebody who's trying to teach me something, be present and be open to the lesson and learn what they've got to teach me. It doesn't matter where you are on your journey, you can still learn something. And, that's an exciting part of the journey, is being able to be taught something and having somebody want to show you and share something with you. I think there's no better feeling than having somebody wanting to share something important with you and being part of that journey as well. So if you're listening to this, for the lady who did that, I owe you an incredible debt of gratitude, because you helped me realize something and learn something, and also helped me deliver a better session to other people from that day forth. So it was a great wake up call. I also remember, like, in conjunction with that, there was a guy from New South Wales Police Dog Squad, and he was doing the course at the time as well. And he came in on the break and he said to me, he asked me that question. He said, "This must bore the shit out of you, mate," because he was watching me grade papers during my break. I told him the story. I said, it did, for all the wrong reasons. And I said, but for all the right reasons. I am so lucky to watch you guys either along your journey, have trained with somebody else and, maybe learned a little something new, or for people who know nothing at all, have been in a completely different field and have now come and done this, and it's excited them and opened their eyes to the potential of becoming like a future prospect in the canine industry. And I said, I'm so lucky to be able to be one of the gateways to people to get them through this and help them through this and even inspire them through this. So I'm not bored by it at all. I said, I enjoy reading the answers now. It shone a whole new light on it for me. So thank you. That's my way of saying a big thank you to the person who kicked me into drive.
It's very cool. That sounds like the perfect place to finish an episode.
Yes, I agree. Speaking of, I think I put a question from a conversation you and I had in regards to what's changed lately since the times of COVID and so forth. So I think next episode, maybe we'll tackle that, because people in the discussion group actually got behind that, and there was a lot of people who did put some responses and answers to it. A lot went wrong during that time for a lot of people with a lot of different things. Like, it changed our world, and in many ways not for the better. It created a lot of division. It caused harm for a lot of the industry. It changed the industry. There was a lot of, prior to that, I felt that there was a lot of good fellowship, and it changed quite significantly. And I'd like to see if we can return to those old days. And, I think we need everybody's help to find out, how do we do that? What do we need to do? What happened and what was the shift, and how do we get back to those good feelings and good moments of fellowship we're having? So I think that's a prospect for next time. So if you've got any other suggestions, find that thread in the discussion group and share to it, because I think that will be a good topic for our next session.
Yeah, good idea. All right. Well, that's it.
Yeah.
Another episode, Canine Paradigm.
Yep.
As always, if you like what you hear, just like, rate, share, subscribe. Do that through whatever subscription service you download us from, and then go somewhere else and do it there. They don't check. You're allowed. Do whatever you want.
Even if you're in a kennel cleaning up diarrhea.
Yeah, that's probably where you are. It's a lot of the listeners are doing exactly that. I'll bet you there is someone right now cleaning up dog shit with us in their ears going, I'm doing it. I'm doing the thing they're talking about.
I hear people who are kennel workers or even managers who are saying, like, I'm blasting the Canine Paradigm while I'm listening in and I'm cleaning kennels.
Perfect.
So, you know all too well the dilemma of icky dog poos.
Dog poo life.
Yep.
If you want to support the show, the best way to do that is jump into Patreon. A few bucks a month gets you a giant backlog of information, as well as new stuff going forward. You could pay as much or as little as you like, to be honest. There's live streams, and we just do stuff in Patreon. So if you want to do that, jump into there. But another way to support the show is to get into spring. There's links in the show notes where you can buy yourself some wall tapestries and some T-shirts and hoodies and stuff like that. It's always super cool watching people's training videos and seeing their giant Canine Paradigm tapestry in the background, or them wearing your hoodie.
Just while we're talking about that, now that you've given me an idea, we should get a T-shirt called Dog Poo Life.
Dog poo life. Yep.
Imagine that as a tapestry.
Oh my God. Okay, this is what we need to do. So we need a graphic of either like a dog cleaning up dog poo with like headphones on. So like, yeah. Okay, so this is what we need. Like a Disney style anthropomorphized wearing clothes dog,
Yep.
right? Like the logos that we have, all the things. Cleaning up dog poo, listening with headphones on,
Yep.
and like a caption that says dog poo life.
Yep.
And
That'll be our
it
new
says-
spring classic. We've been
Yeah,
waiting
and
for a
Canine
long time
Paradigm.
to get a new
Yeah,
design.
we need an update.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, let's do that.
Yep.
All right, the artists amongst you, let's see what you got. Zoe, we're talking to you.
Katrina.
Yeah, Katrina. Katrina just do the best stick figure ever. Make the best one.
Yeah.
I love that. The cool story. Show me your dog. What else could you do to support us? Buy my course. It's pretty awesome. Do that.
Yeah,
Get some
do that.
canine pharmaceuticals. Those are awesome too. But again,
Definitely
touch on
for
this. Best way-
fixing diarrhea.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, like
Avoid
legitimately.
these diarrhea problems.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. But if you want to talk about dog poo, jump into the Facebook discussion group. There's lots of opportunity for you to tell us your dog poo story in there. Photos and videos welcome.
No.
If you want to send us private messages about dog poo, you can email us. We are info@thecanineparadigm.com. That's it. Love you all. Goodbye.